The boy wakes up and asks his mother to get a divorce from his stepfather right away. The woman doesn't understand what her son says until he tells her something shocking. Christine raised her son, Brian, who was 9 years old, on her own. Peter had been unfaithful to her with her sister Amanda, so he moved to a different state. Christine was very upset about losing Peter to her sister, but she didn't have time to cry. Brian was more important to her than her past, so she chose to think about him instead of crying over it. As a fair settlement, she got custody of Brian and half of Peter's property after they got a divorce. She started over with her son and tried to see the good in things, but one day, something bad happened. Amanda went back to Christine and apologized. She said Peter had left her for someone younger. "Christine, I'm sorry for what I did. Please don't punish me." She cried, "I have nowhere to go." Christine's life had moved on in the 3 years since Amanda had lied to her. She also had a big heart, so she let Amanda move in with them after she hurt her. The next day, Christine went to a business conference in a nearby town where she met Mike. Pretty quickly, they had a connection, and Christine knew she was in love. Christine and Mike started spending more time together and going on dates in the months that followed. Mike was good-looking and friendly, and he had a good job. Christine knew he was the one for her, so she finally told Brian about him. She was surprised that Mike and Brian got along so quickly. Every weekend, they would play baseball and go to the movies. Brian liked Mike so much that he asked Christine to marry him one day. "Mom, could Mike please be my dad? I love him. He's awesome." Brian told his mom while they were eating dinner at home with Mike. Mike laughed and made a joke by saying, "Oh, no, Brian. That means I'll have to deal with your mother for the rest of my life. That's not a good idea." But then, he paused, "I'd love to be your dad, so I guess I'll just marry her." Christine blushed when Mike asked her to marry him in a roundabout way. A month later, they got married. Christine was glad that her family was happy once more. She thought that everything was fine. "Mom, come here, please," he said, "I'm not safe," and then hung up the phone. After 3 years, Christine's boss gave her a raise. She started working more hours and often came home late. She didn't worry too much because Amanda would be at home with Brian. But one night, when Christine got home, Brian was lying on the floor of his room, unconscious. "Brian. Mike," she yelled as loud as she could. "Pick up the car. Brian needs to go to the hospital." When Amanda and Mike saw her and Brian going downstairs, they were shocked. "Jesus. Put him in the car, and I'll get the keys." As Mike ran to get his coat and car keys, he cried. When they got to the hospital, the doctors told them that Brian had a concussion because he had hit the back of his head. Also, they told Christine, Mike, and Amanda that Brian might have amnesia and forget everything when he wakes up. Oh my God. How did this even happen? When the doctor left, Christine yelled and began to cry. "Christine, I wish I was there to stop it." Amanda said that even though she told him not to, he was jumping around his room. "While we were in the kitchen, he might have tripped over something." "Don't worry, Christine, he'll be fine," Mike told her. "Don't be afraid." From then on, all Christine wanted was for her son to wake up. She didn't care if he forgot her, but she did want to see him happy and healthy again. She had to go out of town for an important business trip one day, so she left Brian with Mike. He told her, "Don't worry, honey. I'll be by his side forever." Christine was happy to know that Brian was safe. But 2 days into the trip, she got a surprise call from Brian, who only said, "Mom. I'm calling from the phone of a nurse. You should get away from him. Mom, you have to leave Mike. Please." Christine was thrilled to hear her son's voice and find out that he had woken up, but she didn't understand why Brian would say something like that. He loved Mike. "Honey, what's wrong? Tell me, please." "Mom, come here, please." He said, "I'm not safe," then hung up. Christine's heart dropped as she tried to figure out why Brian had said that. She left everything behind and got the first flight back home. When she got to the hospital, she was shocked to find out the truth. It turned out that Mike and Amanda had been having an affair for 5 years and were planning to trick Christine and take all of the property she had gotten from Peter. Brian was in the kitchen one night and heard them talking about everything. When he saw that Mike and Amanda were getting ready to leave, he ran up to his room quickly but slipped and hit his head. When Brian woke up in the hospital, Mike was there with him. "Hey, Winner. I'm calling, Dad. You know who I am, right?" Brian did, but he pretended he didn't and called Christine on a nurse's phone while he waited for her to come back. When Christine found out everything, she was very angry. Before she left Brian's ward, she called 911 right away. Mike was sitting outside, so she faked a smile for him, but she wasn't going to be fooled again. Soon after, the police showed up and charged Mike with fraud. As he was being handcuffed, he yelled, "What are you doing?" Christine moved closer and gave him a slap right in the face. "Mike, you get what you deserve." After Brian's statement was written down, Amanda was also taken into custody. Brian was fine, and he was sent home soon after. He and Christine are back to their old lives, but they are much happier now.